All right. So thank you so much for coming on here today. It's been an honor for me. It's an honor for me to talk to you. And yeah, you're one of the few veterans, World War II veterans that I spoke to. And yeah, I know you spoke at the I think the Black Liberators project in D.C. in February, I believe,
Yes, for you.
at the Dutch um,
Yeah, you
embassy.
that
I wasn't there. A friend of mine was there. Two people that I know were there. Sebastian, you might know him.
yeah, that was the liberation. Of,
Exactly.
that's what they were celebrating.
All right. So yeah, today I wanted to talk about basically your life before the service, your life during the service, and your life after the service. And I hope you're okay with that.
But what now?
I said I hope you're okay with talking about your life before the service and your life during the service and your life after the service.
Yes.
All right.
Uh,
So, can we start with you saying your name and in which unit you served in during World War II?
my name is James Baldwin,
Uh huh.
and I was born and reared in North Carolina, uh, town Wagram, WGRAM, North Carolina. I attended high school in Laurinburg, North Carolina, and I was valedictorian of my class,
Wow.
and that was May of 1942. In September 1942, I went to college, Fayetteville State Teachers College in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I joined the reserve and I was there for 1 quarter. So I was there from September 1942 through March 1943. And I had joined what is called the reserve. The enlisted reserve corps was all college kids, and we had joined it hoping that it would keep us out of the service. But Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the president of the United States, issued a proclamation in December 1942. So we found ourselves in the Army in March 43.
Oh
We
wow.
were, in fact, I was sworn in at Fort Benning, Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
in March 1943, United States Army.
United States Army.
Yes. So after that, we meaning recruits. We did basic training, 16 weeks of basic training
Wow.
in Fort Knox, Kentucky, which is the place where they train armored units like tanks, half tracks, that type of thing. We did 16 months of, 16 weeks of basic training there. And then we were assigned to various army groups throughout the United States. I was assigned to the 784 Tank Battalion,
Hmm.
784 Medium Tank Battalion.
Wow.
Uh, that was in, let's see, we got there, would be uh, December, no, September, probably maybe September 19, when we got there,
Wow.
1943.
What company did you join?
What now?
What company did you join?
Headquarters company,
Headquarters company.
784 Tank Battalion,
Wow.
was assigned to the mortar squad, 81 millimeter
Ah, the big boys.
squad. Yeah, 81 millimeter mortar squad.
Ah.
We were trained though that if need be, we, in other words, if we in action, if you were in combat and you lost a gunner for the tank, you then not could be the gunner, serve for a gun in a tank. There are 5 people in the tank, but we didn't have to do that, so I stayed stuck with the mortar squad.
Huh. What
So
do you
uh,
remember your serial number? Your army serial number?
yeah, let's see now. 14, I think it was 14, 10, 95, 55, I believe.
Wow, 14, 10, 95, 55.
Yeah.
Let me write that down so I can do some more research later on if you're okay with that. But it's always interesting to me that veterans always remember their serial numbers. And
Yeah.
I see that yours starts with a 1, which means you voluntarily enlisted.
That's right.
Exactly.
Right.
So what happened after basic training?
After basic training, I was assigned to the 784 Tank Battalion.
Okay, yeah.
Prior to that, they shipped me from Fort Knox, Kentucky, to Camp Claiborne,
Oh yeah.
Claiborne, Louisiana.
Exactly.
And that's where 784 Tank Battalion was, and that was our initial getting together. So they assigned me, you come from basic training. Some guys had been and completed their basic training before us, but anyway, all of us were coming out of basic training, signed to your initial unit,
Mm-hmm.
and prepare ourselves for combat. We knew we were going, and so it's just a matter of when.
Right.
So 784 Tank Battalion left from.
What do you remember about your time in Camp Claiborne?
Claiborne, we were busy getting to know and meet people in training. So I actually stayed there only, I think I was there about 3 months.
Okay.
And then the typical, you're training to shoot guns, you're training to drive tanks, you're training to drive half tracks 5 days a week.
Wow.
And so we left there.
You were in the mortar squad.
That's right.
Do you still remember, or do you still know how to? I'm not sure if you did this actually, but let me rephrase my question. Did you have to do map reading and azimuth calculation for the mortars?
Yeah, we did some map reading, but that wasn't the main thing. The main thing is to learn to fire and discharge 81 millimeter mortars. So that's what you train for. Once you get in combat, that's what you got to be done. So 5 days a week, we doing that, assimilating, then going to the fire range, shooting. When you go to the fire range, you're shooting individual weapons like a 45 pistol, 81 millimeter. Now, what was our thing? Trying to think of the thing we crossed our shoulder. They'll come to me in a few minutes.
That's okay.
We had that, a gun on your shoulder, strapped across your shoulder. And then you had on your hip, you had the carbine, that's it.
Oh, the carbine, yes.
Yeah, we had a carbine. And so when you go to the fire range, that's what you're learning to shoot. Now we all show what naturally we go somewhere where we can eventually fire our mortars. So that would be way out in the country somewhere, so you're not within range of hurting anyone.
Right.
So it's a typical type of training that one would go through.
Wow, that sounds interesting. Do you remember Jackie Robinson? Was he around Camp Claiborne or was he in another outfit?
Who is Robinson there?
Jackie Robinson.
He was in this. We were in the same company but different wars. I was in. He was in the. What they call it now? Where they take information back and forth.
Intelligence.
The
intelligence section.
No, it's not intelligence. It'll come to me. But all they would do, some would go up at the front, and they would send information to and fro.
Reconnaissance.
Reconnaissance squad.
Yes.
In the reconnaissance squad, but we're in the same company.
Wow.
A company had approximately 100 men, 125 men in a company, and then a squad would have about 10 people, I guess, 10 or 15 people in the squad.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Did you encounter any racism during your time of training, sir? If you don't mind me asking.
yes, naturally we've caused some because the army was segregated. So in World War II, you were segregated. So naturally, you would have some problems of discrimination and so forth. But while I was and this happened just before we got there, but while I was in Camp Claiborne, Louisiana, they had a riot in a little town called Alexandria, but I didn't witness that. But that happened about 6 months before we got there.
Oh wow.
But in during the time of the 784th Tank Battalion and while you were stateside, naturally, if you went to town, you sat at the back of the bus. Uh, you ate separately. Blacks would eat separately. If you went into town, you would be at black restaurants and that type of thing. So that was typical of what we what we went through
Wow.
in the States.
And
So but you spent most of your time in the States at camp. You would go into camp. You would go into what you call take leave. You go into the nearest little city town. I think we went to Killings, Texas. That was the nearest little town. And then town that was a little larger than Killing was Austin, Texas. We go there. And if you want to go to a city, you'd go to Houston, Texas. I think my time in Texas, I probably didn't get into Houston, Texas, maybe once.
oh
But when we went on leave, we'd actually be going on leave to uh, Austin, Texas.
wow.
And so you socialize with the blacks, and they had a couple of colleges there, and we'd visit the campuses, date the girls, and
Right.
because us were college fellas.
Did you have a girlfriend or were you married at that time?
No, I was single.
Ah, you were single.
I went in the army when I was 18. I finished. Well, I was just short of 19. So I went March 18, and I was March 43. So yep, I was 18 then. And then come around my birthday in July. So after I was in the army about 3 months, I had a birthday, and then I was 19 years of age.
I see.
So typical type of social life in the city. Uh, you visit church if you're in town on leave. You'd visit if you felt like going to. I was a Baptist. You'd go to a Baptist church. You stayed on the base. They had churches, chapels they call them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it was just typical type of life that you went through as a soldier, going through basic training, and then you move. Your training is going to get a little more complicated. When we got to Camp Claiborne, actually, we were in a small tank in Camp Claiborne for about 3 months. Then when we got to call it Camp Hood, then but it's now Fort Hood, Texas, we got a larger tank, a medium Sherman tank.
Wow.
And but what my unit, that would be the same thing, but the mortar squad. So we use that 81 millimeter squad. The shell is the same size shell you would use on a tank,
I see.
1 millimeter.
So the 81 millimeter mortar squad, they would not obviously use tanks to move around the countryside, or
No, usually you use a mortar, and actually you don't see your target when you're shooting.
right?
Example would be the sergeant of the unit would go up and say he'd be up on the mountain top, up higher up, and the gunner, I would be the gunner, and he and I would be talking,
Huh.
and then I would let him know when we were ready to fire. He said, ready on the right, ready on the left, commence firing. You saw your ticket, you saw it, your whether or not you saw your hit your target. The sergeant would let us know, but we didn't actually see. We see smoke and we knew it hit the target. Well, so that's how the difference in a tank and a mortar squad. Tank, you drive in there and you got 5 people on the tank. You got the loader, and you got the gun, type of thing. And so you're actually aiming directly at it.
Right, I see. That's interesting. Wow. What happened after Camp Claiborne?
After what now?
Where did you go after Camp Claiborne?
After Camp Claiborne, we went to Camp Hood.
Oh, yeah.
Now, yeah, that's the difference in the training there. We got introduced to more training when I said the length of time and how to do and discuss things like if you have to capture, like if you'd be captured, you'd be done such and such, that type of thing. But everything was geared toward combat.
I see. So after Camp Hood, when you went, did you go to Europe?
After Camp Hood, we went to just for 2 weeks to a firing range, and it was about 10 miles or 15 miles from our camp. So we stayed overnight. I think the camp was Camp Swift, that's WIFT, but that was just strictly but one particular type of training, firing. So when we got back to Fort Hood, Camp Hood, we were then told that we were earmarked to go overseas, go to Europe, and it would be about 2 or 3 weeks before we would leave. And so we left from Camp Hood going to Europe. It's called ET, or European Theater of Operation. That's what it was called.
Exactly.
European Theater of Operation. So I guess it would be October 1944. And it took us about 2 weeks to get to Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the ship was an old dilapidated ship. It was called a Morton Bay. That ship have named, but that was out. So it took us about 2 weeks, 10 days to 14 days to go from New York City to France. We got in France, and we then had to go for some more training. So they sent us to Scotland for some basic trainings.
Okay.
I was trying to think of the name of the little town. Very small town where they had a lot of areas around it.
I'm not really familiar with my English or United Kingdom geography, but I have some documents of your company that they are saying that at the beginning of December you were in Pontypridd, South Wales.
Well, that's where it is.
Pontypridd.
Pontypridd. And so we stayed there. And we stayed there a couple of months because I recall we got to France and Belgium and Holland in the area between the latter part of December. So that would be December 1944.
Right.
Yeah, 1944. And we came straight through. And you're in combat because you can see anything.
Can I ask you one more question before we go to Germany? To your time in Germany, sir? Is that okay?
Yeah.
So, I listened to another interview that you have done. I'm not sure when that was taken. It was with the Veterans History Project. I think it was outside, and Sorry.
And you're speaking of what now?
That I'm sorry, an interview that you did before. You did an interview before with the Veterans History Project. I'm not sure if you remember that, but I listened to it, and you were speaking of a guy named, or of two people that I heard, James Quick.
Picking up.
James.
That's what we haven't gotten to that point yet.
I know, but there is an interesting part, because in the December reports, you were also talking about a fight somewhere in England, I believe, and there's a couple of names here. One of them is Albert Marshall, which you also mentioned in the interview, but
that was when we put the Rhine River.
Right.
That was.
But Albert Marshall and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 others, they were demoted, or 5 others were demoted in England for something that is on the report here. It says that he was reduced to the grade of private for misconduct. And I was
Albert Marshall.
Yes, together with Udall Lee and William Gordon and Calvin Avant.
Calvin, what's the last name?
Avant, A-V-A-N-T.
Atkins, I guess. All those guys were from Mississippi.
And O.Z. McClendon.
Yeah, I probably say I can't remember all those names. I don't know where that happened, because Albert Marshall was killed March 1945. And I saw the tank when it was blown up. Now, what you're telling me, I don't know when that happened, about him being demoted and all of that.
You were a witness to his death?
Yeah, I could see, tank, if you're in a line formation, and if a tank is hit, you see it if you're close enough to it. So we're close enough. Might not. Sometimes we're in a wedge formation going into combat. So this particular time when we crossed the Rhine River, and sometimes I get Rhine mixed up with Rohr, but Rhine, and that's when his tank was hit.
Wow.
It's probably like March the 25. The records show when he was killed, and you just said March 45. And I'm sure that's when it was.
He was March 26th that was when Albert W. Marshall was killed. Yeah.
But I don't know anything about him being court-martialed.
No, that was in December. So
definitely wasn't court-martialed, because he wouldn't have been fine.
He was reduced to the grade of private, and I was just wondering if you knew about that.
No, well, the records show him as being a sergeant when he was killed, so I don't know anything about all of that.
That's interesting.
If you look up the record.
Well, can we then continue where when you arrived in Belgium and in Germany?
No, I don't want to talk about stuff I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, you're telling me something I don't know, so I can't talk about that.
That's okay. That's no problem.
Yeah, but when I know where I was, and I always give facts. When I told you now, we're out of Point-Bridge.
Right.
Now we came right on through France, right on through Belgium, tip of Holland. That's some town I think started with it. We went from
Venlo,
A-A-C-H-E-N, Germany. And I think that little town, the nearest town in Holland, was Maastricht.
Maastricht.
Yeah, so that's the area I'm talking about. I can speak about those things. So we were on, this is the latter part, because I remember when we were around Holland, it was New Year's Eve, and we had popping wine, champagne stuff we had gotten. We were just having a lot of fun.
Wow.
But that's all. We were just moving every day. I mean, during that period, we were attached to the 104th Infantry Division. And see, we were in, I guess, for about 6 or 7 days where you really get into full combat. But when you're driving along, though, if anybody going to attack you, then naturally you're going to be fighting back and that kind of thing. So I remember that was like the road was ice and slippery. All the roads during that the winter months to me in Germany and Holland, all those are kind of rough months as far as the weather is concerned.
Huh.
And so that's where we were then. And now that's 3 months now before Marshall is killed. You see,
Right.
so yeah. So I don't know when he was court. Was he court martial? You said overseas.
No, I don't think he was court-martialed. But he
I
was.
mean,
Sorry.
whatever how you describe it.
It says, let me see. I would say he was reduced to the grade of private, and the reason was misconduct. The same happened with William H. Gordon, and he was reduced. He went from duty to. I think he was arrested in quarters, and he was awaiting trial for disrespect towards his superior.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't
We don't have to talk about it, sir. It's all right.
I don't know by the name Part, but then I heard you say Quick. Quick was in my outfit, and Quick was in the must have not been serious because Quick was always with us. But you didn't say he was Quick was involved in it.
No, he was not involved. No.
Yeah, and one of those names I remember was in the Gordon. I don't remember him. And did you call somebody named Atkins?
Let me see. I didn't see an Atkins. Can I name some names, or can I call some names, and maybe you will recognize them?
Sure.
There's a Thomas W. Williams. There's a Howard Kennedy.
Yeah, Howard Kennedy. I doubt Howard Kennedy was involved in anything.
No, he was not involved. These are just names that are on the morning reports of your company.
Howard Kennedy had the same rank I had. He was a corporal.
Exactly.
And he was in the mortar squad.
Really?
Yeah. He and I were. You had 3 units in a squad, so he was man in one mortar squad. I was man in one. I can't think of who was man in the other one.
Where was he from?
Mississippi. Most of those fellas you calling are from Mississippi, so I think they were just saying, no, I know. Howard Kennedy had gone, he's from Alabama, that's right. I used to know the name of the little town. But he went to college, I'm not sure it was Tuskegee or what. But yeah, Howard Kennedy.
That's interesting, Howard Kennedy.
That squad, they had 3 sergeants. So one of the sergeants was Thomas Williams, one was Simmons Washington, and I can't think of the other one. Our squad leader was Gaskin, Gaskins, and then he was later replaced by another. I don't know where he got wounded and come back. No, they moved him up. He got a promotion to first sergeant, and then they took. In other words, he left our sergeant, our unit, the mortar squad. Then he was in charge of mortar. Then they made him first sergeant, and then they made another guy from Mississippi to take his place. That was a staff sergeant job.
Wow. Do you remember Howard Severson?
Howard who?
Severson.
How you spell it?
Severson.
I ain't ever heard of that.
Severson? I don't know. He's a lieutenant. Second lieutenant.
Oh, yeah.
Where did you say that Howard Kennedy was from, sir?
He's just from the state of Alabama. I used to know the small little town, but I can't remember.
It says here Dallas. Dallas, Alabama. That's where it says he was from.
Yeah, that's a small town. I wouldn't know that. All I know, he was from. He had came. We would call it enlisted. He came in just the same as I described to you, in the reserve. Now, all the fellows that weren't in the reserve, about a half or 3/4 of them in that company, and that's a company, came in like I did.
Wow.
They was in the reserve. Now, Marshall wasn't in the reserve. He was just drafted regularly in the army.
Right.
But anyway,
There's
I don't
a Clovis Huge. There's
call what
a Clovis Huge.
Hughes, H-U-G-H-E-S.
Yes.
Yeah. Now I forgot whether he was a tanker. I think he was in the same unit with Marshall. I think he was in the little tank unit. We had 3 tanks in headquarters.
Wow.
And so that meant 3 by 50. You had about 15 or 16 guys in the tank unit.
Wow.
So Claude Hughes. No, you said Claude?
Yeah, Clovis.
I got it mixed up. It was Hughes. Claude Hughes was in my unit. Claude Hughes was, if I get it right now, he was in the mortar.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But most of those names you called were, all of them were from Mississippi, so they were kind of hanging together.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a QT Carter.
What?
Carter.
Carter.
Last name Carter, yeah. QT Carter.
Yeah. Some of these names I can remember, same I can't.
There's a Urquhart Dixon.
What's Dixon? Urquhart Dixon.
Yeah.
Urquhart Dixon was in my unit. He ended up coming back home being, his rank, I was a copper, his rank was a PFC. And he would be the one when I say commence firing. And I'll never forget once he told me, he said, Copper Baldwin, I'm satisfied with myself killing people. Said, "No, that blood is on your hands. So you're the one giving the order." That was a surprising thing. When I got home and went to college, I came to Howard University in Washington, D.C. The first person I saw on the campus was Urquhart Dixon. And he went into the ministry.
Wow.
Yeah, he didn't drink, he didn't do anything. He rather went into town, he reading his Bible. He'd sit back there and read his Bible.
Wow.
Interesting. But I was in Washington, D.C. at Howard University. Then he's like right across the river going into Virginia. About like 10 or 15 miles from Washington.
Wow.
Yeah, Urquhart Dixon.
That's interesting. Wow. He was also drafted, I see.
Huh?
I said he was also drafted according to his serial number.
Oh yeah, he was drafted.
There's also a Clement Wiley.
I don't remember that name.
Josh Harper Jr.
Oh yeah.
Josh
Harper was in the mortar squad too.
Wow. There's a Frank Pollard.
Frank who?
Pollard.
Pollard.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, it seemed like he was in. He definitely was in headquarters country, but I think Pollard might have been. He might have been in the squad, mortar squad. Yeah, Frank Pollard. He was from Mississippi.
Wow. William Hart.
Yeah, William Hart. I'm looking at his picture right now.
Really?
Yeah, looking right at his picture now.
Could you put it in front of the camera?
No, I don't know how to do all of that.
You have to hold it in front of you and show me.
The book. Mm-hmm. Oh, put the book in front of you and you're going to see we're on a tank. And once I turn it around, it's the right. But you see it?
A little bit more to the right, sir. There you go. Yeah, I see it.
And I'm going to show you that's me there.
Yeah, okay. Wow.
That's Quick you mentioned. Right there.
I see. I think yeah.
Yes, Hopper that you just, what you call his first name, he was a company clown.
George Harper. Yeah.
That's George Harper.
Can you turn it around a little bit more? So
how's that?
A little bit. Yes, there we go. Wow.
Now
I see.
the guy that's on the bottom that right in front of Hopper,
Uh-huh.
that was the sergeant of our unit, the buck sergeant. He was the rank of a sergeant, buck sergeant.
Wow.
His, his name was Simmons Washington.
What's his name, sir?
Simmons, Simmons, Washington, Washington.
Is he he's on his knees or he's squatting?
Yeah, he's squatting.
Hmm.
Now he was from Mississippi, but now he went to college. He was from Alabama State. Yeah, that one.
Wow.
Let's see who else that you have called. This one I said he's sitting to my right. That fellow right over there.
Right.
That
Exactly.
one.
Wow.
We call it what we call his name. He the one that took over the squad, like and then he got a promotion from a buck sergeant to what is his name? I can't think of his name right now.
So could you one more time point at yourself on the book?
Point at myself.
Yeah.
Right there, right behind the man who got his hand raised up.
All right. He's is he hold? Oh,
I have goggles on.
you have the goggles on. I see it now.
Yeah, that's
There you go.
Corporal James Baldwin.
Corporal James Baldwin. Wow. Where was this picture taken? Do you remember?
So
do you remember where this picture was taken?
It's definitely taken in Germany. If I had to say, I would say Sutherland.
Okay, yeah, Sevenin.
In that area.
Wow. This was all around the first time that you went into combat. Am I right?
This book also has Marshall. When he was killed, they had him down there as sergeant in the book. Now that's official record. I don't know anything about him being privately. So
I'm still waiting on the copy from Joe Wilson. I know he has done fabulous work. Unfortunately, the delivery times are crazy here in the Netherlands, and it's I've not been able to get my hands on the book yet. But I'm
yeah, but that doesn't matter to me because Wilson wrote this book.
Right.
Joe Wilson, he wrote this book.
I know. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So wow, that's very interesting to hear.
Yeah, Marshall and I were good friends. When he first spoke, we took, and we left from Texas I'm going to North Carolina, and he's going to Mississippi. So we were sleeping, even though we were in the same continent, we weren't really close until after that particular day. So we were sleep mates, and when we got to Atlanta, Georgia, he went to his left, and I kept straight going. So he was right. He was from Mississippi, and he was going to Mississippi, and I was going to North Carolina. And I recall he was married, so then he must have been a couple years older than I was.
Oh wow!
And other than I was thinking about getting married yet.
Did you do you have good memories of your time training with him?
Yes,
So where he was in your company, and what was his what was his occupation in the
the tank driver.
He was a tank driver.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep, he was a tank driver.
So how was your stay in Germany?
We were fighting. We fought most of we call it going up on the front. They might call it going up on the front, going into combat. We had I think I went up about 5 or 6 different times. You go, you fight, you go up, you come back. And when you come back, we would go to Liège, Belgium, town
VH.
Liège, Belgium, and we go there and stay and have a lot of fun, and then go back up on the front. And some of the guys, oh yeah, this is me now. See this picture there?
Yeah.
I was at Liège, Belgium then,
Is
and
that
I
you,
had,
sir?
yeah, I was going to take a little walk. See, I was up. You leave from the front. You see where I'm dressed now. You see, that's our kind of uniform when you use when you're not in combat.
Right.
So I was strolling, walking
Ah.
down. Yeah,
Were you enjoying the Belgian beers?
but I went now.
Did you enjoy the Belgian beers and the Liège waffles?
Oh yes, yes. Now this says Corporal James Baldwin on leave from combat duty in Belgium, and that was March 1945. And that picture
Wow.
there.
That's interesting. Did you like Belgium?
Yes, I like what the see. You don't leave, you know. You just you go up there. I think we probably stay maybe 10 days,
Uh-huh.
maybe 15 days, and you go back and you fight another 10 or 15 days, and you get another leave to go. Uh, now, that is when you found discrimination. We would get in town, and uh, naturally, everybody there is white, Belgian girls, and so the white Americans, a lot of them would tell the tell the Belgian people we had tails and stuff like that. And, we over here trying to mess with our women and all kind of stuff like that. But that wasn't typical of the relationship, but that's just one incident I remember.
Wow.
It's everybody in that group on this picture, see, they in the mortar squad.
Everybody in the picture was on the mortar squad.
Yes, that's all of us there in the mortar squad. Now that's just from one unit. You had the two from yeah the three time is what you see that would make up the whole squad.
Mm-hmm.
This year,
Did you know guys from other companies?
sure, see, I left college, so they would be guys, and in the headquarters company, they were one, two, four of us from headquarters company from my college. In B company, they were three or four. Uh, the battalion consists of A, B, C, D companies, headquarters company, and service company. And so they got was in different companies, like Company A, Company called A Company, Baker Company, Charlie Company. But we always for short said Company A, Company B, Company C, Company D, and then headquarters. And our headquarters also had all people who were in personnel, people who did the typing and
Right.
records trade. They were in headquarters company.
Oh, I see. Could you take us to your first time in combat?
Yes, it was on a Sunday. I don't know what date it was, but it had to be if you got to say what month it was, it probably had to be maybe like April. I mean, real combat when you and we were in a line formation, and all we knew then that we are going to the front. So they tell us, oh, we left our base, call it to your base, going to the line, the front line. They'll tell you we are going. They don't say where we going, but you'll be given orders about 20 minutes before the enemy starts shooting. You might be alerted. Now that's when, see, I wasn't a commissioned officer. So I'm sure the captain, which is in charge of the company, and the lieutenant, which is in charge of our squad, they knew more than that, but that's all they gave us, you see. And they say, you're going and just expect to be attacked at any minute, expect to be called to begin firing, you know. And so that's all we knew. And so we were driving along that Sunday afternoon in a line formation, a straight formation. That meant we were vehicles right behind each other. And the first command was to wedge squad. So that meant you then had to go like a triangle.
Right.
One to the left, one on the right, and the lieutenant's in front. And so you move into your wedges. And then when it came time for us, the who call was called active duty first. I believe our unit might have to shoot first. And they'll just say, motor squad to your left, enemy to your left, such and such. And you pull off, and then the sergeant then had more information than I would have. But everybody know what you got to do. So all I do, you either fire a mortar from a half track, or you put it on the ground.
Right.
Either one, you jump out depends for which one. We did most of our firing in combat from a half track. So then you don't have to take your mortar consists of three pieces: a base plate, the base plate, the gun. Anyway, you have to assemble it. And so the gun, and then the another. Yeah, that's right. So they called for us to go out, and then it wasn't too long before we were giving our orders. And then you see, I have to do all. It has a thing. You have about 3 or 4 instruments on the thing. See, like the sergeant would say to me, traverse left. He's telling me make the gun go left. And then he said, steady, steady. Hey, backtrack, such and such, giving you order.
Right.
And when I'm on there, he'll say, and I would be repeating from what he's saying. So the other fellow, no, it's firing. Then you know, then everybody, every who's the gunner, every who's dropping the shell, uh, they're just called drum assistant. Somebody got to drop the shell down in the barrel.
Right.
And so when I say commiss firing, then they start dropping that shell. Now that on that picture there, that was a Quick, that guy you mentioned, James Quick. That's what he had to do.
Wow.
Drop the shell in the barrel. And that guy Urquhart Dixon, that's what he had to do.
Wow.
Yeah. I would be repeating the order from the sergeant.
So that was your first time in combat. It was. Did you ever see the Germans up close?
Oh yeah, we saw Germans up close later on. Now I have two kind of stars, 2 bronze stars. So I'm the recipient of 2 bronze stars. So that means
Wow.
people would know that I've been in combat. And not only that, one of them was for being a close contact when I was in Belgium, where you actually see we had the bridge going out from under us. And yes, we crossed the bridge to go into Southern Germany. And when they blew the bridge out, so we are over there, and there are some troops in that town, it's in a town, some troops there, but not too many, because and you see, that's getting toward the end of the war anyway, because that would be said probably in the month of April. And the war ended a month after that. And so a lot of Germans then was giving themselves up. And you'd be taking so many of them. But getting back to that, I had to go around to the back. And every so many minutes. I mean, about every 20, 30 minutes. That wasn't part of me, but I like to kind of walk around, look around, see what I can see. And that's when I saw a German. I think I got that one for that.
Wow.
And then the second one was overall comeback I'm telling you about when we find and hitting our target.
Wow. Thank you so much for telling all of this. It's great to have your story told.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't realize I had that little book at over here on my desk. That's when I showed you that.
Well, it comes quite handy now.
Uh,
It comes in quite handy now during the talk.
Yes.
So, I believe your unit also witnessed the concentration camps in Germany.
Yes, I think Camp 2, I believe, Camp something. Camp.
I thought it was a Garde-Liegen camp.
Yeah.
A satellite camp.
Yeah. I didn't, can't recall. See, when I think of Holland, I think of just what I was saying to you. We were rescuing Holland, and the Germans were the enemy then to them. But they had some, but we would, I was my unit, my assignment was mostly guarding, like protected, out freeing. And when you run, I forgot what that, I only seen one, we call it concentration camp. And I forgot what number it was. I thought they said number 2 or something.
Hanover?
But my mind, I really wasn't thinking about that then.
I believe it was near Hanover, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's all right. Let's. Do you remember your company commander? Company commander.
What?
Do you remember the name of your company commander, the captain?
Yeah, Groglow. Robert Groglow.
Huh. I have a name of or some second lieutenants on here. One is Ernst Mikus. Mikus.
Who?
Ernst Mikus or Mikus. Mikus.
He was an officer.
He's a second lieutenant.
Yeah, well, you see, my second lieutenant was Anderson at first, and he got a promotion, and he went over to A company, and I'm trying to think of another.
There's a Hunziker, Rupert Hunziker. Rupert Hunziker.
Anderson?
No, I believe it's Hunziker. Hunziker.
No, he I don't know what unit he was in charge of. Each one of those 5-1 would have a lieutenant, mostly the first lieutenant, and then the captain was over the whole thing.
Right.
But my immediate lieutenant, he was very nice to me. I don't know why I can't think of his name, because they had to read the mail. And he said to me once, he says, you're very smart. I see where you did this and that, and you got a good family. He said, what have you done? Because he knew I'd gone to college for one. I'm trying to think of his name now, but he was very, and he would always talk to me and tell me, hope I do, and let's stay in contact. We stayed in the contact, but I can't think of the name right now.
There's another, Arnold Meadow.
Meadow?
Meadow, Meadow.
All of these are supposed to be in 784?
Yep, HQ company.
In headquarters?
Yeah. Richard Anderson. There you go. I see him on here. He was assigned to B company.
Yeah. And then once we got in combat too, you see there were some officers transferred and you're fighting then, so you don't know who's what and who's come in. But I'm trying to think of, but I think like Anderson was the one I'm trying to think of.
Hmm.
Yeah, but I saw of all the officers, I saw Captain Garglow in Chicago.
Wow.
Yeah, after I gotten home and was working in the government, and I was going around giving speeches and so forth, and I ran into him one day, and I was on my lunch break, and he was too, and we recognized each other about the same time.
And what was
Oh,
the last time that you saw him after
he said,
before that?
he said, Corporal Baldwin. I said, yes, Captain Groglow. And so we had lunch together, and he was working at a shoe store then, and he says, "What are you doing?" When I told him, he said, "Gosh, you, in your what you done now is comparable to being a colonel or something. All the people I had over under me, and what I was." I says, "Yep." So we
Wow,
had.
that's
Now
interesting.
he was very prejudiced too, and he, he we remember once we was in the dormitory while we were in Texas, and so he was at the uh, what we used to call it the office where he is. Anyway, he was, let's say, in his office, and he called for one of the fellows in our unit, one of the college guys, and he called him to come to the office. And the guy was named Leonard Shakespeare. So he was one of the college guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know whether he was junior, senior, whatever when he left. But I'm pretty sure though he was an upperclassman. But he called him into his office and it stayed a long time. Now Leonard Shakespeare was very, very fair. He could pass for white.
Oh, really?
And he was from Louisiana. And people with a name like that, Shakespeare, you kind of know where they're from. And he had blue eyes, and he was just white. If you saw him, you just thought we would think that, but he was very conscious of it too. But anyway, so Captain Law called him over there that night and it stayed a long time, like an hour and 15 minutes. Usually, when you go to the office, when the captain calls you, probably sometimes you get something wrong. He's going to get you for something or something. We never know. And so when he came back and we asked, what did the captain want? What did the captain say? He said, you won't believe it. And we said, what? He said that Captain Groglow told him that he had one spot open for an officer and he'd have to send him to training school over there. And he said, and I chose you. So Snakes out, I said, why did you choose me? He said, because you were one of us. And because Shaq Snyder told him, why didn't he choose it? There was another guy. All of us had IQs,
I see.
would get up enough for an office. But this guy was from Florida. He was from Florida. What's the name of his school? Florida State. Florida A&M, that was the name of his college. And he had a very, very high IQ, very high. And so he asked him, why did you choose uh, nobody was in any trouble or anything, but he just knew that this guy, his name was Vernell Roberts, had a very, very sharp. Then why did you choose Sergeant Roberts? Vernell Roberts, but there were two Roberts in headquarters. He says, oh, you're one of us. And he turned him down, and we told him, why would you do that? You know, he
Because he was
said,
so
well,
white.
yeah, he said, no, you know, I just didn't feel that was right.
That's so funny. Wow.
Yeah.
So, um, what I would like to ask is did you how did the infantry troops react to a segregated unit fighting along them?
Well, some of them were very regular, very nice, and they know we needed them and they needed us. But we were in town once when that was it. That would be Liège. Yeah, we went Liège, Belgium once, and we went for the weekend. And black and the white soldiers started having it out. Somebody probably called them nigger or something, whatever. But they were really fighting, all of it. In fact, I got in that myself.
Oh,
And so so what they did, the rule was the highest ranking soldier in town has a right to assemble everybody. And so the guy who finally got us together, after everybody bloody nose and everything, and we went to something similar to a convention, large building. And so the colonel, the lieutenant colonel, identified himself and said, well, uh, you guys, he started off sounding great enough. So all of us are Americans and we should be able to get along together because some of you can go back and be fine together, fine, working to kill the enemy, those kind of things. So one white guy said, he said, yeah, but Colonel, he held his hand up so the Colonel called him by his rank. He was a corporal. He said, Corporal, what's on your mind? And he said, sir, these colored boys over here going with our girls. And his response was, and I don't know why he said it. I don't know, maybe slip of tongue or whatever. But he said, oh, I know how you feel. And I held my hand up. What you want, Corporal? I said, well, I don't think your response, I don't think you should have said it that way. But how would you have said it? I said, I would have said it like you started off, sir. You said, we're over here together, we fighting, we got an enemy, we got to go back home and such and such and such. And he got
wow.
just as bad. He got just as bad. He says, okay.
That's beautiful. That's exactly what.
But another couple of things, I remember going into town. And so blacks from different, this guy was named, he was from Florida. I'm trying to think of his name. I can't even think his name now. But we would go in town on a truck, and the truck would hold about 30 men, 30 or 35 men. And so a white soldier was walking, and we usually, if we see anybody soldier even going into town, it was about 20 miles from Liège, Belgium, probably. And he was just walking. And the driver was a guy named London from Detroit, Michigan. And the driver just pulled over. And they give him a ride. And the guy got on the back and he just started talking. Sometimes, I guess, uh, I majored in psychology, so I sometimes try to read what people have. So the guy, I didn't think he really meant anything, but he just didn't know what to say. He said, are these tanks you guys got on tankers? Are you really tankers? Or are you just working on tanks or servicing up tankers so somebody take them into the front? So the black guy who was sitting beside him was from Scott. That's his name, Dan Scott. That's it, from Florida. And Dan Scott just pushed him right off the truck. And but you weren't driving that fast enough. But he got kind of bruised up, and so the driver came back and he said, "That's the one from Detroit, Michigan. This other guy was from a southern state, Dan Scott. He said, Dan, why would you not? I said, why can't we, they just giving them a lift? And Dan told him what he said. Yeah, but he shouldn't have said what he said. So that was one incident. But Dan finally saw the infantry squad had that tag. We were with two different infantry squads. One was 104 and another was 35th Infantry Division.
Right.
This was when we were with the 35th Infantry Division. So he had to, you recognize, just like they see us in town, they know where we are from. They say, okay, they're tankers. Someone would say, if they didn't know your name, hi, tanker, hi, tank. We said, don't call them doughboys. Those things don't get you doughboys. But, one guy, this same guy that was driving the truck that was taking us in, he also was in, his job was to drive a tank. So technically he was a tank driver, but he was very good, whatever he drove. So he said, I tell you what we're going to do. We definitely saw one of the wagon wheel white guy in a restaurant. And when he didn't say the words that they were messing with us, but he was just laughing. He said, now how we can get even with those guys? I don't want to kill them. You don't want to kill them. He said, but how we can get even with them? He said, they are at a disadvantage in combat. And he said, they're either walking beside the tank or they are up on the tank, sitting on the tank. He says, now I got a suggestion. If we ever see or hear of him or anyone who's white say something like that, you can accidentally hit a gyro stabilizer. That's the thing that make the tank, make the gun go all the way around 360 degrees. When you can accidentally hit that, so it had to be the driver, the assistant driver, the guy who's nearest this thing. If he just hit that little thing accidentally, so that's gonna knock him off, and it isn't gonna kill him because the tank is going forward. So, but it might bruise him up. He might have to stay in the hospital. He said another thing we can do. We have many chances to fire your weapon, that big gun, out. So you wear out, and they've told us many times if something comes up and you thinking you got to discharge, but it got to be a good reason. And so you could just do that and bust the eardrum. He said, and he said, you're a killer. And I remember I was in Detroit, Michigan, giving a little speech, and so I looked him up, and I said, you recall that? He said, oh yeah. He said, that's better than killing him. Said, but that'll teach him a lesson.
Wow. Well, those are interesting stories. Thank you so much.
Life is, we came a long way as a race, but we still have a long way to go. When I went to college, I majored in came back majored in psychology, and then I did work in human rights, investigating EEO complaints of discrimination. Wow. So I've always done jobs like that where I'm getting involved with people, like when they had the riots in 1968. I was in charge of the DC Office of Human Rights, which had 12 things, and so but you have seen a lot of changes and a lot of improvement, but we still have a long way to go. Just like the recent stuff like that.
Yep.
George, that definitely has helped a lot because you just see a lot of whites. Because I've never myself, never in my life just said everybody is the same. Even as a kid, I knew better. I was telling somebody once, I said I was from this little small town in North Carolina, and my best friend was a white guy. And I said it was three of us, one white, one black, so we call ourselves colored then, and one Indian. So you got three guys playing together, just crazy about each other. And I said, then it came a time that I tell them what we were talking about. We had the radio, big radios back in those days, and we couldn't understand where did the sound come from. So the white boy said, oh, his name was Jared Pence. And Jared Pence went on to be a top surgeon. And Jared Pence said, oh, there's a man in there, and he's holding around his knees. We said, that's had to be a very small man to be in there. And the Indian meaning in the United States from that particular place they were called Croatan, the form of Indian. And he said, well, I don't know. And I said, well, I don't know one thing, but I can tell you, I said, see that little wire there is connected to a stone, you go down. I said, all of that has to do with bringing sound. I said, that's what I do. And so Jared Pence and I, after we got back from the service, and I asked him about that. He went to the University of North Carolina in med school, and I came to Washington, D.C., Howard, and we stayed in contact a long time. He said, you know, that was the stupidest thing. I said, well, that just shows that race, I knew it couldn't be possible happen what you were saying. You know, I just knew that you can't have a person in there talking about they hold it around his knees. And I said, that was just impossible. And I said, just, I knew this why here, you see, gives, you could give you more volume or whatever. That has something to do with it. So, no, man. So we used to just laugh and care. So, but I've never just said, oh, all white people are bad and all everyone's good and that type of thing. I don't use that because I know it's not true.
Right.
But in the country now that this George Floyd thing, a lot of whites really, really are sincere. So from this point on, because they first thing they just couldn't think of, I'm gonna use my psychology now, they just couldn't think until they saw that how a person could kill another one. And just, you know, and the
It's
white, well, if he was black, that's why he did it as his motive. And they wouldn't have done a white person like that. And he was, you know, so he should just get to whatever the punishment is going to be, because he's still locked up now. But so I never put all people in one group. But a lot of I was talking to my fellow the other day, and we were talking. He says he after that thing, he said he went to. He said 10 nights, Jim. I took my family down there, and they walked. And you see, they just couldn't quite understand because nothing like that would happen to them, and they know it. You know, why kill the man for something like that?
right. Yeah, it's been crazy the last couple of months. It's very different. It's not in one in like essence. I believe that racism is or discrimination is a bigger problem in the United States, where
Yeah,
it's every form of discrimination is bad, but I believe it's more um, emotionally well not I don't know how to say it, but I believe the I believe Europe had a longer time, a longer period of time where we've been working on getting rid of discrimination and racism, whereas in the United States that
yeah.
time window has been smaller. But it's
So,
still there. It's everywhere. It's
so there's something about where I did before I came in the army, and you got some experience from mine in stateside, and then we talked about being in combat. But you cannot talk about what I actually did. What I actually did after I got back home.
exactly. So, do you have time for that still?
Yeah, we can go into that.
Okay, let's go in your time after the service. I wrote down that you already talked a little bit about it, but I have something here. In 1966, you became the executive director of Citizens Information Service for DC. But I think it's better if we go into that later on. Um, when you got out of the army, you made use of your GI Bill.
Yes, but I was also in school before I went in, and when I was when I finished high school, when I told you I was valedictorian, I had a 4-year scholarship, even though I, I I didn't have, I could have used that to go to college, but I had the GI Bill. The GI Bill give you 48 months, and it took me a long time to understand that. I thought it's just 4 school year, both, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but you use it. So I used that in getting a bachelor's degree and a master's degree.
Wow. What did
And
you
that,
What did you study?
yeah, and actually, yeah, and I used it to use some of it because I still had some to get my doctorate degree. But when I came back out of service, I just knew I wanted to go to Howard University because I'd always heard about it. My parents couldn't send me there. But we used to say that's a Negro capstone of Negro education. It just had a lot of famous people we knew who attended there and a kid. But that's why I came to Howard University, a lot of people. And so after I was there for 4 years, I got my degree in psychology, majored in psychology and minored in sociology. And it was always like helping people. And so I went into the field of prison, helping prison, working at a prison, testing people, giving psychological tests and stuff like that.
Wow.
And
Did
I
you
did the
ever talk to people who were veterans themselves?
talk to people, whatnot.
Did you ever talk to people who were veterans, war veterans? Did you talk to as a psychologist?
Talk to people. I can't get what type of people.
Oh, did you ever talk to veterans, World War combat veterans, who
Oh,
at your
talk
as a
to
psychologist?
later on in life. Not this from social, but it might have been because you see, I've been a marriage counselor. I've been people here who had gone to prison. There would be people there who had been in the service.
Hmm.
But now I do work with veterans, but I do work with veterans now, like Bible study, conducting Bible study, coping, tell them how to cope with guys who had gone to Vietnam. See, they are younger than I am.
Exactly.
I'm the oldest one in the group. I'm with the World War One, and those guys are in their 70s, where I'm in the 90s, and so they get a lot. They said from me, and we talk like that. So we meet on Thursday morning, and but when the jobs I had coming out of after I got home really wasn't a veteran group until later on.
Hmm. Yeah, I heard that you had attended your first reunion in 2006.
What reunion was that night?
I think the 784th Tank Battalion reunion.
Oh yeah, yeah. I actually I went a couple of times. They had a they had a unit here, guys who was in the service, and one of the guys was a guy from 784. And he was in what they called his company now. Uh, oh yeah, when you and I were talking about, you say you call it reconnaissance.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy was in charge of that. He lived in this neighborhood with me, and we went not only but we were the same company in the army, but
Wow.
we came and lived in the same neighborhood.
How was that? How was the reunion for you?
it was nice. It was, when I said nice, you get together and talk. And I still think, I said the other day, and our little group can meet Thursday mornings. I said, I get more of relating and listen to experiences of people. And see those guys that were in Vietnam, that yellow, what is it? The yellow orange. That's the degree that you hit a disease you kind of get from being over there. And they have a lot to go through with it. You listen to some of them talk, and we share a lot of things. We have a lot of things in common.
Exactly. You all had combat experience.
Yeah, right.
Wow. That must have helped you as well. I guess as a
It did. Because my daughter was asking me, Daddy, one of my daughters, the oldest daughter, passed, but the one that's she's 65, Daddy, you really get something out of that? I said, yes, please. And I told her why. And I said, it's not, it's, you find out that a lot of people had the same experiences. A lot of people having, I said, I never had any problems coping when I came out because I was okay financially. I knew I had to go to college and different things like that. And I said, but a lot of them had some serious problems. A lot of them got injured. I said, the only worst thing happened to me was, and I'll have that with uh, um, frozen feet, frog piston in feet.
hmm.
And then, uh, and I really have, and I still have thing that you call it PTSD. Does that ring a bell with you?
Yes, I know what it is.
Post traumatic uh, disorder. And
Exactly.
so I have that. And when you mentioned Marshall,
Right.
that was the main trauma thing that once to see some of your friends always see when I saw that tank, it was tank number 54, go up in flame, and that you knew, at least I know, from where I was sitting, and he was the driver. And it just had a lot of the person who helped me with that. But I didn't try to get any help. I thought of going to a psychiatrist, but I never did it until 2015. And somebody told me who was a veteran, said, you really need to go and talk with him. Because I couldn't even talk like you and I are talking now.
Right.
I start crying when I start talking about uh, Marshall, Albert Marshall. Because, we were so close. We had so much in common. I remember when his wife came to camp once, and
Wow.
but it just bothered me. And so the psychiatrist told me once, he said, you know what, don't worry about being said. I need to be treated and it's not like a disease. You go, okay, I'm cured now. He said, but you'll get better and better. And it's how do you deal with it? How do you really cope with things? So that helped me a lot. And so now I can talk about Marshall and getting killed and what I saw. And, without all tearing up. Once upon a time, I used to talk with his wife and his kids. That helped me a lot.
Right.
I'm telling you. But
Y-
you see, now 6 or 7 years ago, I couldn't be talking to you about Albert Marshall
I see.
like
Wow.
we
Well, then it's an honor for me to listen to your
did.
to you. Do you know? Have you ever been to his grave in Margraten?
I'm sorry.
I mean, have you ever been to his grave site in the Netherlands?
You ever been there?
No, have you been there?
No, only to when I told you we came to that I go to the town, and then when I can remember us going to that consultation, but I don't. We didn't. At least I didn't talk with some of the people in Holland because I saw that what we were doing is to help, because I couldn't get it right at first, because I was saying that what role did the Germans play? Are the German really enemy? I had I had a problem with that type of thing, but then I finally got it on okay. But I didn't see. I didn't. That's how I say my experience with Holland was at the most 6 to 10 days.
Right.
Uh-huh.
But that Marshall is buried in the Netherlands, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
You have never been to his gravesite.
Mm. No, I know they get to the. You mean where they buried? When you said gravesite, are you talking about where they buried American soldiers?
Yeah, at the moment he is buried, I believe, in the Netherlands, if I'm correct.
Yes.
In a American military cemetery.
Mm-hmm. No, but I haven't never actually gone. Wilson, I should have gone when, you see, I'm 96 now. You think a lot. I should have would have done certain things, but I really should have gone back to the, but it modern, how you pronounce that grave?
Margraten.
Yeah, when other fellow was going. See, a lot of fellows went back.
I see. Well, if you, I'm not sure if you are interested in seeing a photograph of his uh, grave when I'm passing by the cemetery one day. But I could send it to you if you are interested in that.
Okay.
Only if you want it. If you don't want it, then I won't do it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm the kind of person if I didn't want it, I said no. I can go. When you told me, you said I might have some questions, something you don't ask. I said, well, he didn't know me. That that's the way I operate.
I see.
Right,
Well,
right to the point, and I would let a person know that I would be uncomfortable. But you and I haven't talked about anything at all that's uncomfortable to me.
that's good. That's great. I'm glad to hear that. I mean,
Yeah,
I could talk for hours and hours because there's so many names I could that could name that I could say to you, and you might remember the names, but that might be for another time.
yeah.
I want to thank you so much for talking to me today, and I hope you allow me to publish this interview or this conversation between you and me on the internet.
Okay.
Is that okay to you?
You say you would like what now? I'm kind
I,
of hard of
I
hearing.
said I would like to publish it on the internet.
Yes, sure.
Sure, all right. And then I will continue talking with Joe Wilson about this conversation, and I will send everything to him as well.
Yeah,
And I'm sure he will give you a call
yeah.
later this week.
He's a
And
terrific. He's a terrific person.
he is.
He
I will
really.
also give you a call when I'm putting this on the internet, and I will just check up on you and see how you're doing.
Yeah, sure.
And if everything is going right, I might visit DC again. Or yeah, I might visit DC in hopefully 2021. So you
Yeah,
better be there when I get there.
right, right. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
So yes, thank you again for talking to me, and it's been an honor.
All righty. Bye bye.
Bye bye, James. Have a good day.